Welcome everyone. Happy Golden Rule Day. My name is Felipe, and I am the Marketing and Social Media Director for the Charter for Compassion. And we are celebrating Golden Rule Day. We've been doing now our third broadcast, and this is going to be our fourth panel on the Golden Rule. We have the honor to have Caleb as our guest on this panel, which is discussing the LGBTQIA issues and how can we see them through the lens of the Golden Rule. So, Caleb, please introduce yourself.
Hey y'all, I am Callum or Calum, either sign. I am the director of Rethinking Community, which is a program under We the World, where we serve the LGBTQ plus, BIPOC, and disabled communities. And myself, I'm transgender, genderqueer, and queer.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I didn't even introduce myself with those. So my pronouns are he, him, his, and identify as queer. And so very grateful to have you here and host you in this little conversation. So one of the things that I wanted to start with is to let people know that are watching that the Charter for Compassion has different sectors that talks about, that address different social issues that we might be concerned about. One of those is gender partnerships. And in gender partnerships, we have a subsector for the LGBTQIA community. And so John Boswell and myself co-lead that sector and the initiatives that we do. So, let's start, I guess, talking about the Golden Rule, right? So treat others as you want to be treated, or don't treat others as you do not want to be treated. An ancient principle that can be found in almost every religion, almost every civilization throughout time as a basic principle of humanity. And so how do we apply this concept when it comes to LGBTQIA plus issues or discussions? And so one of the things that and I guess I'll start the conversation, and then you can share a little bit more. I feel like one of the things that is super important about the Golden Rule is to in order for us to apply the Golden Rule, treat others as you want to be treated, there is a big factor of understanding, how do you want to be treated? Do you know how you want to be treated? We might assume, we might think of ways that we want to be treated, but have we actually taken the time to know or understand what are our needs? How do I want to be treated? And how is that reflected on how I treat others? So I think it gives us the idea, that concept of first understanding ourselves, which is super important and crucial for us to do any other social justice work, and then apply that concept into and outwards or outwardly to help everyone around us. What do you think?
I definitely agree. I think that plays into another one of those society says, I need to feel this, so I have to feel that. Especially when it comes to gender roles that, like, say, masculine people can't cry or they can't ask for help. So they don't even know that that's a possibility of what they could need, and how they want to be treated. Um, and if they don't know that they want to be treated with kindness and respect, they're not going to know how to give that to others either.
Absolutely. There's such an incredible element of reciprocity when it comes to the Golden Rule, right? So Shane Johnson from San Diego Pride sent us a video that I wanted to share really quickly. Let me see if I can put it right here and play it. Okay, let's see. Let's press play on this guy.
Happy Golden Rule Day! Hello, my name is Shane James, Special Project Manager for San Diego Pride and local bearded drag queen icon. At San Diego Pride, we are fostering pride and equality and respect for all lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender communities locally, nationally, and globally. And we wanted to come and talk about just a little bit about how some of the work that we do is all about the Golden Rule. And what is the Golden Rule? I think we need a little bit of a refresher just so we are all on the same page. It's all about treating others how we want to be treated. And a lot of the work that we do is always about community and treating each other with love and respect and dignity. All right. Ow. So, one of the things that we actually just did at San Diego Pride is we just launched our Pillars of Justice. These Pillars of Justice were created to act as a deep examination of intersectional movement building work through the LGBTQIA plus lens in alignment with Pride's mission, vision, and values. We love a tongue twister. But these pillars, just to go into a little bit of depth on them, they are disability justice, economic justice, environmental justice, gender justice, health justice, racial justice, and reproductive justice. All of these are the amazing pillars that guide us through all of the work that we do, whether that's policy or events or programs or just how we utilize our space and what we do and how we bring together a community. It is these pillars of justice that guide us and really in deploying the golden rule about treating others how we want to be treated, because we recognize that these are all intersectional things. And it's all about, trying to be there for one another with respect, justice, and equity. So does the LGBTQIA plus community in San Diego feel prepared for the golden rule? Yes, we do. As y'all can clearly see, this is what we are all about. It's building community, building solidarity, and treating others as we want to be treated nationally, locally, and always globally.
Wow, right? Woo. um, I wanted to say, just in case that I messed up on the name, is their name is Shane James, not Johnson, James. So, Callum, can you tell us a little bit more about the organization that you're with, Rethinking Community? Can you tell us a little bit more about that work and how is that inspired with the Golden Rule?
Yep. So one of the big things we take away from our parent organization, which is We the World, is their mission is basically to move the world from I to we in our thoughts, actions, policies, and away from us versus them. And Rethinking Community really tries to have that as the pit of our mission too, because again, if we're fighting each other and creating divisions, there's going to be that mistreatment on both sides. And using the golden rule to treat others the way we want to be treated. I try to work in the organization, definitely internally. For an example, I have a disability that makes me not be able to work for very long hours, and sometimes I get sick and I'm out for a week. And I try to make sure my volunteers know that they're able to do that too. If it doesn't mean they have to have a stomach bug and a doctor's note. They can just be like, I'm not feeling well. I'm not going to be here for 2 weeks. That's fine. I think there's that compassion of people are people and they have lives and they have needs that I think our capitalistic society does not acknowledge. But I'm starting to see a lot in the younger youth, because I'm technically, I guess, still youth, being 23. But I think the younger youth is really following the golden rule, especially the LGBTQ plus, BIPOC, and disabled communities, because they're just tired of it. They want the change to happen, and everyone knows that if we just keep arguing and spinning our wheels, nothing's going to happen.
Absolutely. And thank you for that opinion. That's so real. And thank you for the work that you're doing also, which is so crucial for us to break those barriers in society, and why we have been raised and taught that it is normality, when in reality we could have the opportunity to just think outside the box and see that, for example, capitalistic ideas that you're saying, instead of competing, collaborating and helping each other, which is very much a sign of compassion. So yeah, thank you for that. One of the things I wanted to also bring to attention is what Shane was saying, of the intersectionality that is in the work of not only the golden rule, as treat others as you want to be treated, but also how it affects other social justice issues. And you even brought it up in your response, right? We're talking about all this LGBTQ issues that we're trying to like help out with and whatnot, but then we also are talking about, you know, healthcare and how do we take care of ourselves, and how some people, especially BIPOC members of our LGBTQ community, don't have access to health services or mental health services. And that's everyone in general, right? And so um, what are some, you know, one of the things that comes to my head is just thinking about policymakers, even, you know, local policymakers, even all the way up to national policymakers. What would happen with the things that they are trying to pass if they, for just a minute, used the golden rule and thought about those populations that somehow their legislation can be affecting? So, for example, we're I mean, we've been surrounded lately with all this news about, you know, the Florida bill, like don't say gay, or all these different laws or legislation passing in local legislatures about banning trans athletes in sports. Um, I wonder if those legislators at some point, like if they ever thought of using the golden rule and put themselves in the shoes of that tiny, 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 tiny small population that their legislation is affecting and marginalizing even more. Would they follow through with what they're doing and what they're proposing?
Yeah,
Uh,
I definitely think that's a good point. I obviously have been following a lot of anti-trans legislation going on, and I've gone to hearings and stuff, and just the things you hear those in favor of these bills saying, and you know that if there was a policy that was doing the same thing to them, it would be totally different outcome. There would the policy would probably in reality it wouldn't happen, but like if it happened, if that was happening, they would think it's an abomination, like it's appalling, and that this shouldn't be a thing. But because it is not directly harming them, even if it might be harming their children, they I think it's the power aspect a lot. That's what I feel like a lot of the anti-trans bills come down to, especially with elections coming up in November, is that we need to keep the constituents who are already voting for us happy. But yeah, I just if we started treating them the way they treat us, coming from like my perspective as a transgender person, we'd be the bad guys in the situation or the bad people in the situation. I think that's the hardest part. I've talked to other community members about, especially those who actually like go to the hearings and stuff. Is we have to go in, we have to be nice, we have to be professional, we have to stay calm while they're sitting here saying our lives don't matter. Because even if one of us gets angry, then it affects our whole community. We're going to be seen as the like angry trans community that deserves these laws, when all we're doing is technically treating them the way they're treating us. Um, so I guess that's a two-way street of treat people the way you want to be treated, but also make sure it's positive. So don't like the laws and stuff. Treat people, if you're gonna come against me, I'm gonna come against you and start treating you the same way, but positively. Of uh, I want my life matters, and uh, I want access to food and healthcare. So everyone should be able to have access to that, regardless of who they are.
Agreed. Amen. Um, you know, it was interesting to hear you say that we have to be in our best behavior and not react and everything. That is sort of like the same talk that we also hear when we're talking about the racism that we see in this country and in the world in general, right? Like we're talking about how Black people have to say, or you know, have to like stay very calm, and because as soon as they react a little bit, they say like, "Oh, you're angry," and you know, every marginalized community that is not benefiting from the system in which we are currently living in, has a similar discourse, which once again brings me back to the point of intersectionality and how, as we follow the golden rule, we not only care about the injustices that us as members of the LGBTQ community experience on a daily basis, but we also realize that we have to care for racist issues, for immigration issues, for healthcare issues, because we're all one community and we all are affected in that sense. Um, I think that, to me, it's a little sad to see a lot of people that, for example, are um, believers in a religion. Like they're very faithful in their own religions and use religion as a way to attack our community. And I wonder there too. Do they remember that the golden rule is in the Bible? Do people know that the golden rule is also in almost every sacred text of every religion? And if so, are we fulfilling that commandment from whichever God or whichever scripture are we reading? Are we taking care of each other? Are we treating each other as we would like to be treated? It seems like there's I think that as we explore more the golden rule, we can ask these questions and expand our knowledge, as we hear, from example, from when we hear people, because I feel like a lot of the legislation that happens against the LGBTQ community is from people that don't have a lot of interaction with our community, right? Like, so there's a lot of anti-trans legislation that happens because they don't know anyone trans, and they just like are hearing all these things and everything. But as soon as they had either a family member or a friend, would they be doing the same thing? Would they be speaking the way that they speak about our communities if they realize that there are people around in their circles that are part of that? Sorry, I'm like talking so much, but I'm just like questioning myself so much about the golden rule and how it's so intersectional.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that. Something that bothered me last week was, I think it was National Geographic had put up a statement like against the anti-trans bills or something like that. And I mistakenly read the comments. I was thinking like people were going to be like, "Yes, this is great." Uh, Not the right people were there, so it was not those comments.
Mm,
But something I kept seeing a lot was, "I have nothing against X community, but," and there's just no such thing as conditional support. Like, you either support people or you don't. You don't. There's no buts in support. It's not, I support these people, but I don't want them holding hands or in my Disney movies.
yeah,
It doesn't make you homophobic. Well, not homophobic if you are generally okay with their existence. Like, you have to be okay with their existence and them having the same rights and access as you.
absolutely. It's not about coexisting; it's about embracing each other. It's really, truly, helping each other out, no matter where we come from or what we do in our lifetime. Very true. So I thank you so much for joining us on this panel.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if you had any other last words or advice or something that you want to say to the people watching this, as far as the golden rule, our communities, or how to use this principle to create more ripples of compassion in their communities. Any famous last words?
I think another famous saying that goes well with the golden rule is kill them with kindness. Nothing's going to make them more mad if you are nice to them, or if you ignore whatever they're saying to you. If they're yelling at you, you just walk away. Not engaging with them and being kind to them is going to frustrate them more than anything. And that's how one way we can regain power, especially with the anti-trans legislation. Going into the courtroom, you have your facts and everything. You talk about your story, and you say thank you to the committee at the end, and you're quiet during the whole court and everything, and just being there which of course is easier said than done, especially with if you are in a moment of harassment. But killing, like I said, just killing them with kindness is, it's not something they're gonna expect. They're there. They think you're gonna confront them. They think they're gonna get what they want, and when they're not getting that satisfaction, they're not gonna want to do it as much anymore because they're not getting anything out of it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. And I think, just like with the golden rule, we want to be treated with kindness, so we treat others with kindness
Yep.
no matter what happens. So thank you. Famous last words? For sure, famous. Thank you so much for joining us. For everybody that is watching, thank you for watching through different platforms. This video will be uploaded to YouTube and our channel so that you can watch it later if you want to. Happy Golden Rule Day once again. There's another, there's a 1/4 last broadcast for the Golden Rule program that the Good Charter for Compassion has created that is only watchable via Zoom, and that is happening in hour and 40 minutes from now. So thank you so much for joining us once again. Truly, thank you for being in this panel, and happy Golden Rule Day to everybody watching us.